Hello, it is World Wide Web Wednesday, February 26th, 2020. Steve Sipress here, and I have some rough news to share and a little personal story to share about a company that used to be called Infusionsoft, and changed the name a few years ago, got some big investments, several rounds of funding, near $100 million, I believe, maybe a little more. Changed the name to Keap, K-E-A-P. But had some struggles ever since then. And so my personal story, I first became a user of Infusionsoft in August of 2008 and used it to build several multi-million-dollar businesses. It's marketing automation software. It helps with everything from email, direct mail, voice broadcasts, faxes, text messages. I think now it does social media, text, does all kinds of stuff now. But back then there wasn't a lot of text messaging going on. In fact, I just mentioned the word fax. We were using faxes back then anyway. Used it for about 10 years. And then, a few other things have come along. There's plenty of marketing softwares out there, but I really wasn't using it that much, but I had a ton of data in there, but I made the big decision to cancel it after about 10 years. And after attending every one of their annual Infusionsoft, InfusionCon conferences, they later shortened it to ICON. I attended every single one of them except the first one, and a few years ago they announced they were hosting their last one. So I attended 9 annual events, about 6 of them, I think, or 7. I flew down from Chicago, and the last 2 I lived here in the Phoenix area. They're located only about 15 minutes southeast of Phoenix, so now they're a local company here. And I've got, obviously, over the years and attending all the conferences, a lot of friends that are working there, including the CEO, Clayt Mass, super guy. Now, most of the people I knew have moved on. They've left Infusionsoft, the company, Keap, but many of them are still involved in using the software. I have a client who used the software for his text messaging systems, and other ones are certified Infusionsoft consultants. Part of the problem is that pretty much its colloquial name is known as Confusionsoft because it's so user unfriendly and clunky and difficult to figure out that you need to pay consultants thousands and thousands of dollars just to program it for you. I mean, it's good, it's powerful stuff, but most people, it's even one of their selling points, one of their claims is, hey, most users like me use like 5% of the software. It's so powerful, you ought to use it more. So there's these consultants even to help you with just that little 5%. It's so complex. Over the years, it's gotten a little more user-friendly, of course, but man, it's lagged behind because other things have come along and passed it, become much more friendly and easy to use. And so I use a couple of these. And but what happened was, just to finish my personal story, then I'll get on to the news about the company that just came out 2 days ago. Not good news, but I had canceled it after about 10 years in early 2018. And then I hired a coach towards the end of 2018, and he had a system based on Infusionsoft and was going to push some campaigns through to me if I had to sign up to Infusionsoft. Otherwise, otherwise you'd have to, print them all out and put them in by hand into some new system. So I signed up again for Infusionsoft only a few months after I'd canceled it. And yet I didn't go forward with really making use of that. I moved on to a couple of new ventures, like a typical ADD entrepreneur, right? So now I've had Infusionsoft again for a little over a year, $98 a month, I think it is now. I was paying $299 a month plus $5,000 down when I first bought it back in 2008. In fact, I did the old payment plan. I did 7 payments of $777 a month. I didn't have the $5,000 to put down, or didn't want to take it out of savings, and so I paid the $777 a month for 7 months plus the $299 a month, which I then paid that $2.99 for years and years and years, and then it went down to $1.99, and I canceled it. Now I came back in for $98. And then I called them a few days ago and said, I just got to tell you, I haven't really used it. It's been over a year. It's about time to cancel the thing, stop giving you guys $100 a month for nothing. And I put that in on the website. And then, of course, as many companies, a good lesson here, when people cancel, you don't want to let them just cancel. You want to have them, a lot of companies do this, have them have to get a call with somebody, like an exit interview. What was wrong? Can we fix it? If somebody says price is too high, well, we'll offer you a slimmed down version for less money. That's what happened when I moved from $2.99 to $1.99. I was going to cancel, and they were like, hey, we'll give you a slimmed down version, blah, blah, blah. So I knew I had to go through that. Okay, I'll do the call. And on the call, she informs me, and I guess I forgot, or maybe I didn't cancel towards the end of my billing period, but she's like, all right, so your next bill will be your last one on February 29th, and that'll be the last bill. And I'm like, that was today, this morning. I'm like, well, what do you mean? What, you're going to charge me again? Well, yeah, you agreed. There's a 10-day cancellation policy. And so you have to cancel. You first called to cancel only within, 6 days, 7 days, I don't know, whatever she said. I know it wasn't 10 days. It wasn't the 19th. It was a few days ago. Over the weekend, I think. And come on now. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Like, not only was I a loyal customer for over 10 years, gave them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, like over 40 grand just in monthly fees. But I also hosted events where they sponsored, sometimes they sponsored the event and they came and spoke. Other times I just spoke about it myself. I basically referred them well over 100 entrepreneurs and business owners to use their software. Got paid on maybe about 15, 20 of them, and the rest, because I host a lot of in-person seminars, I would talk about it and mention it. And then, of course, they would just go to the website, click on a link, and sign up. And I was always told, yeah, you don't get credit for that person. They didn't sign up through your fancy affiliate link. They signed up just right through the website, or they clicked on the, whatever. It didn't, okay, so I don't get a few $100 for the referral, but what I care most about, and still do, is they're making money, they're using the software, and if it's good for them, then I'm happy with that. Any kind of referral fee would just be a bonus. So, but it got a little tiring. I would go to lots of their events, and they would tour around the country and come to Chicago where I was, and they'd have this big user conference to teach people how to use the software better, because, again, Infusionsoft, nobody can use the thing. And I'd look around, and I'd see hundreds of people in the room, and I'm like, man, like 80 of these people are here because of me, and I only got paid on like 8 of them. But anyway, again, as long as they're happy and their businesses are thriving, it's all good. The affiliate fee would have been a bonus, would have been a nice thing. Company did work out a couple of times. They said, hey, send us your RSVP list before your event, and then anyone who signs up from that event will be credited to you, because you're just going to speak about it at the event. I was like, oh, that was a nice little workaround. Then I did have to pay someone to put in all the names and emails and contact information of all the attendees of my event, 80, 100 at a time and whatever. Okay, but, then I could get an affiliate commission. Anyway, so now she told me this morning, this customer service person, this cancellation specialist, salesperson, yeah, your last bill will be on the 20th. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You need my $98 so bad, I'm not even using it. Like, is there someone else you can talk to? Nope, there's no one else you can talk to. Well, is there anything? No, there's nothing you can do. That's the way it is. Boom. I'm like, is that the way they want to play it? After 10 years and now another year of being a loyal user and being a raving fan and an advocate and a partner and recommending over 100 business owners to them, I'm sure they've made well over $1 million thanks to my usage and others that I recommended and others that I helped guide through using it, and so they kept it longer. But anyway, like, really? So I started to look up, like, man, there must be a lot of complaints about this. They're being pretty hard-headed about it. There must be complaints about this. So I went on to Better Business Bureau, whole bunch of complaints. You know, you want to get depressed, go read about what people write there. They're billing them thousands and thousands of dollars for some kind of training packages, and then they go after them with, you know, the collection agencies and whatever. And I'm like, whoa, you know, clearly I'll pay them the $98. I don't need collection agencies coming after me with oh, and they're like, oh, and if you take out the credit card or stop the payment with your bank, we consider that an uncanceled account. Says in their terms, and therefore it'll be an open account, and you'll keep accruing charges, and then it'll go to a collection agent, and we'll lop on, you know, the fees and the interest and the attorney's fees. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, let's just give them the $98. Say what a bad decision that was to get involved with that company again, the modern company that it is now. What a total disaster. I went onto a site I found called ripoffreport.com. They got reports about them, Better Business Bureau, people just blasting their business practices, not to mention how bad the software is and clunky and useless and overpromised, doesn't do what it says. I'm like, wow, there's some bad stuff out there that I never looked for. I'm glad there's not that bad stuff about me. But then I found an article from just 2 days ago in the Phoenix Business Journal, the local business paper here in Phoenix. In Chicago was Crane's Chicago. I actually wrote a weekly column for Crane's Chicago, chicagobusiness.com for a year, about 10 years ago. And but here it's the Phoenix Business Journal, and there's an article on there that I guess I'll post a link below this video in a few places that I posted, my blog, my YouTube, LinkedIn, my podcast, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. But you can find it, I guess, if you search. But it was like, oh, CEO Clayton Mask of Keap, Infusionsoft, announces big shakeup, layoffs, executive layoffs, closed a couple of offices, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, ouch, big problems they're having. And now on top of that, they gave me with my little old $98 cancellation. You know, again, I put it in on the website before this happened. I guess it happened on Monday. That was the day the thing was published. Or that was the news article. Maybe this whole thing happened last week sometime, and then I canceled. Maybe they're thinking I canceled because of some layoffs or problems with the company, like I could care less. But anyway, I mean, I care because Clay's a friend and I like him. But, man, that's just a shame. And I know this has happened a couple of times since the name change and the big influx of cash. And then I saw another announcement. Clay announced that they're bringing back the Icon event. Only this one, of course, obviously, I will no longer be attending. I'll no longer have anything to do with the company. For a lousy $98, they could have easily waived that and said, man, you've been good to us, we'll be good to you. Lousy $98, but no. So, if you're looking for automation software, you want my help, I got some advice for you, some where to go, where not to go. Go to helpfromsteve.com as always. We'll get on the phone. You can send me an email, steve@stevecypress.com, and I'll help you out because marketing automation software is fantastic for any business owner or entrepreneur. You know, the common crushing blow to any small business owner is spending way too much time working in the business, sending emails, following up, all that kind of nonsense can all be done with automation and save the part that only you can do if you need to get on the phone with somebody. But if you're just reminding them about an event or reminding them about an appointment, or got to get some automation in there. I can recommend some. Tovi says, yeah, great point, Tov. Tov says, sounds like gym membership weasels. Do your research on who you get involved with, especially networking groups or shady business owners. I couldn't agree more. Like I said, when I looked up on the internet, which pretty much wasn't around when I first signed up in 2008. I mean, of course it was around, but there wasn't all these websites and people weren't, constantly posting things, and there was no social media really. And, but yeah, gym memberships are known for that. I think I did a video on one. My beautiful wife, Michelle, had an issue with a local yoga place that we paid a couple $100 a month for months. And they pulled the same nonsense when she wanted to cancel. Oh, no. She canceled at the end of the month. Hey, it's the end of the month, and I'm not going to renew for next month. Oh, it's too late. You got to give us 3 days' notice. Well, like, what? No, she hadn't even gone for months, and she she hadn't gone for 4 or 5 months while her father was in the hospital and all this, and they still kept charging us. And, so yeah, it's just a shame to see a company run by, someone I like and respect, and a lot of people I knew that were there, and, did a lot of good for business owners, but there's better ways, better places to go now. I think there was a pioneering software when it first started, but they've been surpassed by several other marketing automation softwares. And that's another business lesson right there, that, there's a saying, pioneers, you can tell the pioneers, they're the ones with arrows in their back, lying face down in the mud. And that's pretty much it. Here I am, for instance, in beautiful, sunny southern Arizona. As the sun sets now, I can turn it around. Before it would have blasted into the camera. So the sunset's happening right now, and I came here from Chicago, right? If I would have come here from Chicago 200 years ago, would have been on a covered wagon, I would have been at threat of dying from the cold, from the heat, from the wind, from getting attacked by criminals, getting sick, and there's no doctor around, who knows what. Would have taken a year, would have been a life-threatening traveling situation to bring my family and whatever, and then I would have had to clear out rocks from a little place and chop down some trees and build a hut and plant some food, and the whole thing is kind of crazy, right? And now, well, we were moving. So the moving truck left, and then we left in our car, and we drove down, and we drove straight through. And I think it took about 18 hours. Otherwise, you hop on a plane, and it takes 3 hours. So, the pioneers have that tough road of coming down as if there was no planes, no trains, no cars, and you're pioneering through the crazy area, taking lots of risks. That's how it is in business. So, why did I bring that up? I forget now. But basically, pioneers are the ones with the arrows in their back. And that's kind of like Infusionsoft was when it first came out. It was a pioneer. It was great, but then lots of people looked at it and said, man, that's really good. But this part of it sucks, and this part of it's confusing, and this part of it's clunky, and this part's difficult to use, and this part doesn't work the way they say it should. And, let's hire a programmer, and let's fix this, and let's do that, and boom, 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 boom. So, whoever, I guess you could look it up, whoever invented sliced bread, there's a saying, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Like, that's some incredible, great invention. Well, I don't know who invented sliced bread, but I'm guessing that person is not one of the richest people of all time. And yet that's the invention. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That guy who invented sliced bread must be rich. No, must not be. He probably worked for a big company or a bakery or whatever, and he probably didn't even make a dime on slicing bread, right? Or inventing a slicer for bread. Maybe made, a tiny bit of money. Whoever invented, the early pioneers of rock and roll music. Another cautious tale, right? Those guys were taken advantage of by the record labels, and record labels owned all the rights to everything, and these singers made no money at all, and they died all destitute. They weren't like today, where the rock stars make tens of millions of dollars a year. They made nothing back then. They were the pioneers of rock and roll, but they made no money. Pioneers of sports, pioneers of baseball players. Babe Ruth, oh man, great Babe Ruth, and Ty Cobb, and Cy Young, and what? Sure. But they basically made no money today. Even crappy players make $3, $4, $5 million a year. I think the minimum in Major League Baseball is $1 million a year. If you stink, you make $1 million a year. If you're good, you make $20 or $30 million a year, plus endorsements. And then, you become a billionaire. Now you start buying teams and buying lots of business. So pioneers, it's invigorating, it's exciting, it's adventurous, it can be fun. But also really dangerous. So I think that's what happened with Infusionsoft. They were one of the earliest and a great tool, but it's been way surpassed. If you want help and a recommendation of one to use that I recommend, that I use, and it's so easy even I can use it, and much more powerful, and I would believe about 10 bazillion times friendlier towards its customers. than the incredible crappy experience I had with this Infusionsoft. And then looking up on top of that, well, not only are they crappy with their customers, but they just laid off and closed offices, and a lot of trouble with that company. So unfortunate tale today on World Wide Web Wednesday, but that's business, folks. There's ups, there's downs, there's good times, there's rough times. Those that last through all of them are the ones that make it. And if you want help making it, as always, go to helpfromsteve.com. I'll get on the phone. And I have built and ruined dozens of businesses over the years, so I can spot a lot of the signs, and I can save you from the trouble of heading in the wrong direction before it's too late. And to do that, I will be back tomorrow on Throwback Thursday with another video. Thank you, Toby. Everyone else watching live, watching on the replay. And I'll catch you tomorrow on Throwback Thursday. Over and out. Bye-bye.